Chapter 1385. Unfortunately, killed too early. Lin Moyu asked about Yu Qingru. In fact, Yu Qingru was just a pretext. He was more interested in learning about the Starry Sky Fishmen clan. The Starry Sky Fishmen clan, Starry Sky Celestial Spirit clan, Starry Sky Demon God clan, and Starry Sky Human clan are known as the four origin clans. The Starry Sky Human clan is essentially the human clan. Lin Moyu was very curious about the other three origin clans and why they were called origin clans. What is the true meaning of an origin clan? The great world holds too many secrets, constantly piquing his curiosity. Lin Moyu believed that one day he would unravel most of these secrets, and by then he would undoubtedly stand at the pinnacle of the world. Zhu Qiwu looked at the jade box in Lin Moyu's hand, which contained an exquisitely crafted small sword.
According to what you said, you saw Yu Qingru in the images? That's right.
Lin Moyu confirmed to Zhu Qiwu. Zhu Qiwu had met Yu Qingru before and had a very deep impression of the princess of the Starry Sky Fishmen clan. Although the Starry Sky Fishmen clan had a natural talent for space laws, the probability of this talent emerging was still extremely low. Previously, there was Princess Ro, and now there is Yu Qingru. The Starry Sky Fishmen clan seems to have had a stroke of luck. After listening to Lin Moyu's account, Zhu Qiwu also fell into deep thought. However, Zhu Qiwu couldn't come up with an answer.
I'll ask around when I get back. You've made a great contribution this time, and I think someone will give you an answer.
Rewards for merit and punishment for faults have always been the way of the human clan, clear and distinct. The warship returned to the human clan's territory, and the two of them teleported back to Fortress Number 8. From there, they transferred to Fortress Number 1. Fortress Number 8 was heavily fortified, while Fortress Number 1 was much more relaxed. Zhu Qiwu said,
Stay here for a few days and don't take on any other tasks for now. I understand.
Lin Moyu naturally knew what Zhu Qiwu was going to do. He was going to upload the information about the Yellow Earth Desert to the Human Emperor Network to calculate Lin Moyu's reward. After bidding farewell to Zhu Qiwu, Lin Moyu headed to the trading center. The trading center was still bustling with people coming and going. After many days, the counter at the trading center was still manned by the beautiful and graceful Yu Qing. When Yu Qing saw Lin Moyu, her eyes lit up.
Mr. Lin, you're here. I'll notify Miss Xu right away.
Lin Moyu nodded.
Thank you.
Soon, Yu Qing received a reply from Zhu.
Miss Xu is already waiting for you in the back, at the usual spot. Thank you.
Lin Moyu, familiar with the place, headed to the backyard. On the way, a staff member came to guide him. Actually, there was no need for this. Lin Moyu was an old acquaintance. But rules were rules and they had to be followed. In the familiar pavilion, Lin Moyu met Zhu, whom he hadn't seen for many days. Zhu was as beautiful as ever, still brewing iced tea from the Ice Clan, bringing a touch of chill to the already cool pavilion. Zhu smiled brightly.
Captain, where have you been all this time?
Lin Moyu smiled.
I went on a special mission. This mission took quite a while.
Zhu said as she poured tea for Lin Moyu, her voice carrying a hint of dissatisfaction. Lin Moyu took a sip of the tea, the cold tea bringing a long-lost coolness to his throat, and he couldn't help but let out a long sigh. First, he was in the Yellow Earth Desert, where 9 fireballs roasted the land day and night. Although he wasn't afraid of the heat, anyone would prefer a comfortable environment. Then, he was in the Nether Swamp, where the cold was enough to freeze a true deity to death. For over a year, Lin Moyu hadn't had a sip of tea or a bite of good food. Sometimes, Lin Moyu couldn't help but sigh. Perhaps this was the life of a cultivator. Zhu chuckled.
Captain, was the environment for this mission very harsh? It wasn't great, and it was very dangerous. I almost didn't make it back.
Lin Moyu said half-jokingly. Zhu's eyes narrowed slightly in surprise.
It was that dangerous?
She knew Lin Moyu's strength. If even he almost didn't make it back, the mission's difficulty must have been beyond imagination. However, she didn't press further. Matters involving personal privacy were not something she would ask about unless Lin Moyu brought them up himself. Zhu said,
Captain, the matter you asked me to look into has some news. But since you were away, I couldn't contact you.
Lin Moyu had previously asked Zhu to look into the whereabouts of the top 10 enemies on the human clan's bounty list. Thanks to Zhu's efforts, there was finally some news. Zhu said,
I didn't know if you wanted information from the Vermilion Bird Starfield's bounty lists or the human clan's bounty list, so I looked into both.
Lin Moyu sipped his tea, signaling Zhu to continue. When he had asked Zhu to look into the information, he had been somewhat hopeful. Zhu's family had considerable influence and deep connections with the human clan's military, so he thought he might get some information. Zhu said,
From the Vermilion Bird Starfield's bounty list, I found that only 2 of the top 10 are currently in the Vermilion Bird battlefield. The first is ranked 10th, named Inhua, a demon from the Abyssal lineage, at the 2nd rank of God King. He was last seen 6 months ago in Area 8 to 33. The second is ranked 6th, named Xianjin God King, from the Golden Eagle clan, at the 3rd rank of God King. He was last seen 3 months ago in Area 8 to 68.
The information was a bit outdated, one from 6 months ago and the other from 3 months ago. Lin Moyu knew Zhu had done her best. After all, he had been away for the past year. Moreover, it was clear that Zhu had been continuously updating the information, not just stopping after finding it. Lin Moyu sincerely said,
Thank you for your hard work.
Zhu's eyes curved into crescent moons, her smile blooming.
Captain, you're too kind. Whether they are still there or not is uncertain. Then there's the top 10 from the human clan's bounty list. The 10th is the Netherfire God King, a demon at the 9th rank of God King, last seen a month ago in Area 9 to 32. Ranked 8th is the Breaking Light God King, from the Golden Eagle clan, at the minor deity level, last seen 3 months ago in Area 10 to 22. The last one is ranked 3rd, the Nightmare God Sovereign, a demon at the God Sovereign level. His exact rank is unknown. He was last seen a year ago in Area 8, then disappeared without a trace. But according to the latest information, the Nightmare God Sovereign hasn't left the Vermilion Bird battlefield. Captain, you wouldn't be thinking of going after the Nightmare God Sovereign, would you?
Zhu joked with Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu was a true deity. No matter how strong he was still a true deity. Even if he could fight across realms and defeat opponents at the 6th, 7th, or 8th rank of God King, he couldn't possibly defeat a God Sovereign. Zhu's eyes narrowed with laughter, eager to see Lin Moyu's surprised expression. But unfortunately, Lin Moyu remained expressionless, unusually calm. Only Lin Moyu knew his own thoughts.
The Nightmare God Sovereign is ranked 3rd on the human clan's bounty list. He must have caused significant harm to the human clan. Unfortunately, he's no longer on the Vermilion Bird bounty list. Killing him won't count as completing the task. But I can keep his corpse. When my authority level increases to level 5, and the Vermilion Bird bounty list becomes the entire Starfield bounty list, I can use his head to complete the task.
The task clearly stated that he needed to kill someone from the top 10 of the Vermilion Bird Starfield bounty list. This task had an element of luck. If he could find the targets, it would be easy to complete. If he couldn't find them, it could take a long time, even decades or centuries. For now, Lin Moyu could only go with the flow. Zhu waited for a while, seeing that Lin Moyu still had no reaction, and rested her chin on her hands, saying helplessly,
Captain, you really have no sense of humor. The latest information will be sent in 3 days. Don't be out of contact this time.
1386 1386. Chapter 1386. Gained a little fangirl and got rich again. Lin Moyu didn't know how Yuzhu, or rather the Yu family, obtained their information. According to Yuzhu, messages would be transmitted periodically. The information she mentioned was actually a substantial amount of intelligence, containing various updates. For example, recent major events where battles had broken out and their outcomes. To Lin Moyu, this was like news from his previous life, but instead of daily updates, it was updated periodically. Possibly due to being on the battlefield, many messages were delayed. Previously, she was in charge of transactions and didn't care about such information. It was only because of Lin Moyu's request that she started paying attention to this type of information, focusing only on what Lin Moyu wanted to know. These days, Lin Moyu would stay in Fortress Number 1, just in time to wait for the information. Lin Moyu sipped his tea.
All right, now that we've discussed business, let's talk about the trade. I have some items to sell.
Yuju giggled.
Great, I couldn't ask for more.
Every time Lin Moyu returned, he made a fortune. This time, the trade volume was expected to be astonishing again. Yuju estimated that she would have to call a few sisters over to help. When Lin Moyu took out the items for trade, Yuju was completely stunned. This time, the trade not only involved a large quantity but also incredibly high value. In the Yellow Earth Desert, Lin Moyu had killed many God King level stone demons, and all their belongings were his. Most of the items were useless to him and could only be exchanged for points. After leaving the Yellow Earth Desert, Lin Moyu not only killed a batch of illusion demons and a demon battle formation of 1,000 God Kings, but also obtained the inheritance of 3 God Sovereigns. The inheritance of the God Sovereigns left Yuju wide-eyed and speechless. In front of Yuju were thousands of storage artifacts, each different in appearance. But among them, 3 storage artifacts stood out, emitting an aura completely different from the others. With Yuju's keen eyes, she could tell that these 3 storage artifacts belonged to God's Sovereigns. The artifacts were imbued with the aura of God's Sovereigns, making them stand out among the other storage artifacts. After a long while, Yuju finally regained her composure, her voice trembling.
Captain, you killed a God Sovereign? And 3 of them?
Lin Moyu took out one of the storage artifacts, which looked like a bracelet but was actually an earring he had taken from the Nightmare God Sovereign.
I killed this God Sovereign. The other 2 were killed by a senior.
Yuju's eyes sparkled with admiration, seemingly not hearing the latter part of Lin Moyu's sentence, only the first part. She kept murmuring,
Captain, you actually killed a God Sovereign. You killed a God Sovereign.
At this moment, she completely transformed into Lin Moyu's little fangirl, a loyal fan, unable to change her mind. Lin Moyu even felt a surge of faith power flying from Yuju to himself. He felt helpless about this, but on second thought, having a loyal fan wasn't a bad thing. Yuju blinked her misty eyes.
Captain, what was the name of the God Sovereign you killed? Was he famous? What race was he from? What rank was he? Was he powerful?
A series of questions came at Lin Moyu, who took a sip of iced tea before slowly saying,
He was all right. I'm not sure about his exact rank. His name was Nightmare.
Yuju was shocked again, losing all her mature demeanor.
Could it be the Nightmare God Sovereign?
Lin Moyu nodded.
Yes, that's him.
Yuju couldn't help but scream.
Oh my God, Captain, you actually killed the Nightmare God Sovereign, who was ranked 3rd on the bounty list. Oh my God!
Seeing her so excited, Lin Moyu asked curiously,
Why are you so excited?
Yuju said,
Captain, you don't know how high the bounty on him was. It included a God Sovereign level artifact, contribution points, and training time at the Human Emperor's training ground. The rewards were numerous.
Lin Moyu wasn't surprised. After all, the Nightmare God Sovereign was ranked 3rd on the Starfield bounty list and was a God Sovereign. No amount of reward would be too much. Lin Moyu smiled slightly.
All right, let's start the settlement.
Yuju waved her hand.
Wait, let me calm down. Let me calm down.
Lin Moyu wasn't in a hurry, sipping his tea and waiting for Yuju to calm down. After a while, Yuju finally calmed down and called over 5 sisters to help appraise the items in the storage artifacts. However, the 3 storage artifacts from the God Sovereigns were appraised by Yuju herself. There were so many items that it took 6 people a whole day to appraise and calculate the final value. Yuju gave Lin Moyu a round number, a total of 230 million points. Yuju excitedly announced the number.
Captain, you're rich again.
Then she added with a hint of regret.
It's a pity there were no God Sovereign level artifacts.
This time's harvest exceeded the previous 2 missions combined, making it the largest transaction Yuju had ever handled. Unfortunately, there were no God Sovereign level artifacts in the storage artifacts. Most of the items were materials, and they were demon materials. In the human clan, these materials were useful but would lose a lot of value. If there had been God Sovereign level artifacts, the price would have been completely different. Even the worst God Sovereign level artifact was worth at least 1 billion points, and that was Yuju's purchase price. If one wanted to buy a God Sovereign level artifact with points, it would cost at least 1.5 billion, and even then it would be hard to find. The reason was that God Sovereign level artifacts were extremely rare. When God Sovereigns obtained God Sovereign level artifacts, they would usually integrate them into their souls. After a God Sovereign died, these artifacts would be destroyed along with them, making them very hard to obtain. Lin Moyu was already very satisfied.
230 million points is not bad. After all, I'm currently broke.
Previously, to buy materials, Lin Moyu had spent all his points, leaving him with only tens of millions. Now he had replenished his points. When the mission rewards from Zhu Qiwu came in, he would have even more points. Actually, Lin Moyu didn't realize that tens of millions of points were a huge sum for most true deities. Even some god kings didn't have that many points. Lin Moyu not only gained 230 million points but also earned 23,000 military merits. Adding his previous military merits, his rank could be promoted to a 6th level sergeant. Currently, the rank didn't seem very useful, but that was because the time hadn't come yet. When he became a general, the rank would show its true value. With his honorary title, he would become an honorary general, able to exchange military merits for many good things. As long as he had enough military merits, he could exchange for God Sovereign level artifacts and warships. After leaving the trading center, Lin Moyu went to the military merit office to exchange his points for military merits. With the military merits, his rank was smoothly promoted to a 6th level sergeant. A 6th level sergeant was a top rank among true deities, higher than many god kings. Even some god kings with 5th level permissions didn't have a higher rank than Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu then went to the mission center to look for new missions suitable for him. One of his chain missions required him to complete 5 battlefield missions, and he had already completed 3, leaving 2 more. 1387, 1387. Chapter 1387. Turns out he came to recruit. Completing 5 battlefield missions isn't a lot, but Lin Moyu always encountered various troubles, which delayed the completion of the 5 battlefield missions. One reason was that Lin Moyu wasn't in a hurry. He hadn't completed the task of hunting the top 10 enemies on the bounty list, nor had he finished accumulating military merits, so he wasn't in a rush. In the mission center, Lin Moyu carefully selected tasks suitable for him. As his realm and strength increased, his requirements for tasks also grew higher. He no longer considered tasks with mediocre rewards and low requirements. For example, there was a task in Area 5 to 33 to hunt some star beasts. The task required a 7th rank true deity, and it seemed to be a combat-oriented task, but Lin Moyu didn't take it. He wasn't concerned about the difficulty of hunting star beasts, but about the people he might encounter during the task, especially those from enemy races. Low-level tasks would likely involve low-level enemies, and the benefits of killing and looting them would be minimal. If he was going to do tasks, he wanted to earn more. Points were very useful. He could use them to buy materials. Subtly, his thinking had changed, and he almost exclusively looked at tasks in the 7th and 8th war zones. However, most tasks in those zones required at least a God King level to accept. Only a few tasks were available for true deities, such as exploring ancient tombs. After searching for a long time, he found a few suitable tasks, but his realm wasn't high enough to accept them.
Forget it, I'll wait for news from Yuju. If that doesn't work, I'll consider advancing my realm first. Calculating the time, it's almost time to advance to God King. Otherwise, I'll be too restricted, unable to use my fundamental spells freely.
Lin Moyu thought for a moment and decided not to accept any tasks immediately. If the news from Yuju wasn't satisfactory, he would consider advancing to God King first. He wasn't far from becoming a God King, and a short period of seclusion might be enough to advance. Once he became a God King, he would have many more tasks to choose from. Leaving the mission center, Lin Moyu entered the living area and ordered a lot of food and good wine at a restaurant. Lin Moyu drank alone, replaying previous battles in his mind, looking for mistakes and areas for improvement to avoid repeating them in the future. The restaurant was bustling with people coming and going. Someone approached Lin Moyu.
Junior brother Lin.
Lin Moyu interrupted his thoughts and looked up to see a handsome young man. The young man exuded the aura of a God King, but it wasn't perfectly controlled, indicating he had recently advanced to God King. He didn't hide his information, and in Fortress Number 1, covered by the Human Emperor network, Lin Moyu could see his name.
Zhang Ziyue.
Lin Moyu had seen this name before. It was always on the potential list ranked second. Lin Moyu said calmly,
I remember, senior brother Zhang once challenged me.
Zhang Ziyue's mouth twitched slightly, showing a bit of embarrassment.
Let's not talk about past embarrassments, junior brother Lin.
Lin Moyu's aura always remained at the true deity level. However, no one believed he was just a true deity. After all, how could someone ranked first in combat power be a true deity? But Zhang Ziyue had his sources and knew Lin Moyu's true realm was indeed that of a true deity. A true deity who could not only fight across realms but also surpass several small realms was a genius beyond comparison. Zhang Ziyue had long admired Lin Moyu and had no intention of challenging him anymore. Zhang Ziyue pointed to the seat beside Lin Moyu.
Junior brother Lin, is this seat taken?
Lin Moyu shook his head.
Sit down, have a drink with me.
Zhang Ziyue didn't hesitate and sat down.
Junior brother Lin, you haven't been in Fortress Number 1 recently. Were you on a mission?
Lin Moyu responded non-committally, not giving a direct answer. Zhang Ziyue smiled awkwardly, knowing such matters were personal and it was normal not to answer. Zhang Ziyue, leveraging his social skills, said,
Junior brother Lin, have you heard of the 4-star domain's grand competition?
Lin Moyu looked at Zhang Ziyue.
I've heard of it. It should start in 3 years, right?
Zhang Ziyue nodded.
To be precise, 3 years and 21 days. I think junior brother Lin will definitely participate, but I wonder in what capacity.
Lin Moyu was slightly taken aback.
Is there a particular significance?
Zhang Ziyue explained.
It's not a big deal, but different identities have slight differences. Please elaborate.
Lin Moyu had already guessed Zhang Ziyue's intention. Zhang Ziyue had once challenged him, but he hadn't accepted. Although there was no real conflict between them, there was still some tension. This time, Zhang Ziyue clearly wanted to mend fences and build a relationship. Lin Moyu didn't mind, he wasn't petty. Whether Zhang Ziyue cared or not was his own business. Zhang Ziyue said,
Participants can be divided into 3 categories. Those from the Domain Lord's faction, those from the War God Hall, and free agents. Those from the Domain Lord's faction are recommended by the Star Lords to the Domain Lord, who then decides the final candidates. The number of spots is limited, usually no more than 10. Those from the War God Hall don't need to participate in the 4-star domain's grand competition. The War God Hall itself has spots for entering the Divine City. The number of participants from the War God Hall is the smallest, usually just 5. Finally, there are the free agents, or independent cultivators. They are the most numerous, reaching billions each year. A year before the 4-star domain's grand competition, each star system will hold numerous battles. Winners advance, losers are eliminated, determining the final participants, usually around 1,000.
Lin Moyu nodded, understanding Zhang Ziyue's explanation. Those from the Domain Lord's faction and the War God Hall didn't need to go through multiple rounds of battles and could directly participate in the 4-star domain's grand competition. Independent cultivators, due to their large numbers, had to go through preliminary battles with only the best qualifying. Zhang Ziyue poured himself a drink and gulped it down.
Historically, participants from the War God Hall have been the strongest. They are often called seed players. In the last competition, our Vermilion Bird Star domain had only 8 participants in the top 100, and 4 of them were from the War God Hall. Of the remaining 4, 2 were from the Domain Lord's faction, and 2 were independent cultivators. Moreover, the rankings of these 4 were lower than those from the War God Hall.
Lin Moyu sensed a different tone in Zhang Ziyue's words.
What are you suggesting, senior brother Zhang?
Zhang Ziyue said,
To be honest, I've already joined the War God Hall. I wonder if junior brother Lin is interested in joining as well.
So that's what it was. Lin Moyu finally understood that Zhang Ziyue was here to recruit him. It was normal for the second ranked on the potential list to recruit the first ranked. The War God Hall had tried to recruit him before, but he hadn't accepted. He wouldn't accept now either, as it would upset Tianji and Zhu Qiwu. 1388 Chapter 1388 Extremely Generous Rewards. Looking at Zhang Ziyue's sincere face, Lin Moyu smiled slightly.
Aren't you afraid that if I join the War God Hall, I'll take your spot?
Zhang Ziyue shook his head.
Junior brother Lin, you may not know, but the War God Hall has many spots. However, each session of the War God Hall only recommends the best to participate.
The War God Hall pursues quality, not quantity. Lin Moyu believed that Zhang Ziyue wouldn't lie. According to him, joining the War God Hall wouldn't affect Zhang Ziyue's spot. Lin Moyu didn't answer Zhang Ziyue's question but instead asked,
Does the military have any participants?
Zhang Ziyue shook his head.
The military doesn't care about these things. Senior brother Zhang, could you tell me more about the 4-star domain's grand competition? I know very little about it.
Lin Moyu poured a cup of wine for Zhang Ziyue, who felt flattered and immediately began to speak without reservation. From Zhang Ziyue's words, Lin Moyu gained a comprehensive understanding of the 4-star domain's grand competition. There are many rules and conditions for the competition, one of which is that participants must be at the God King level. This is a hard requirement. Even if you are a peak 9th rank true deity and a genius who can fight across realms, you must be at the God King level. Moreover, he learned that the War God Hall has produced several individuals who are not ranked in the combat power list but are actually seed players. Someone like Zhang Ziyue is just an ordinary member in the War God Hall, not a seed player. This time, he got a spot mainly because he ranked second on the potential list, and the War God Hall made an exception for him. The two talked for a long time, with Zhang Ziyue doing most of the talking and Lin Moyu listening. In the end, Lin Moyu still didn't agree to join the War God Hall. Lin Moyu would never join the War God Hall, nor would he participate as an independent cultivator, as he had no interest in going through rounds of battles. He had already decided to participate in the 4-star domain's grand competition through Zhu Tianyu, believing that Zhu Tianyu would give him a spot. But first, he needed to advance to the God King level. After Zhang Ziyue left, Lin Moyu pondered his next steps. He needed to advance to the God King level as soon as possible while accumulating as much military merit as possible. One of his chain tasks required accumulating military merit. From the moment he accepted the task until he first left the battlefield, the accumulation of military merit would be counted. The amount of military merit obtained directly affected the task evaluation. As for the other 2 tasks, he would do them if he had time. If not, he could complete them after the 4-star domain's grand competition. However, Lin Moyu had a question. If he gained entry to the Divine City through the 4-star domain's grand competition, would he still need to continue the chain tasks? After all, the chain tasks were also aimed at entering the Divine City, and the two seemed somewhat conflicting.
It seems I need to ask someone.
Naturally, the person Lin Moyu wanted to ask was Zhu Qiwu. Who else would know more about the 4-star domain's grand competition than this senior? Perhaps Zhu Qiwu had even participated in the 4-star domain's grand competition before. In the core area of Fortress Number 1, which is also the area most closely connected to the Human Emperor network. In front of him was a jade stone taller than a person. The smooth surface of the jade stone was engraved with complex runes, forming a peculiar formation. Within the formation were some ancient characters. If Lin Moyu were here, He would recognize these characters as primordial ancient script. Zhu Qiwu communicated with the Jade Stone through his thoughts, reporting all the information about Lin Moyu's journey in the Yellow Earth Desert. Zhu Qiwu was honest, neither exaggerating nor omitting any details. The Human Emperor Network received the information and silently connected to Lin Moyu's battlefield tablet. The capabilities of the Human Emperor Network were vast, far beyond Lin Moyu's imagination. Most people only scratched the surface of the Human Emperor Network. Even Zhu Qiwu couldn't access the true core of the Human Emperor Network. After completing the report, he waited quietly. After half an hour, the Human Emperor Network finally responded and provided rewards. A familiar voice echoed in Lin Moyu's ears. Lin Moyu felt a surge of excitement, silently thinking,
It's finally here.
"Congratulations on completing the special task. Yellow Earth Desert. You have received task points and 500 days of unrestricted training time in the Human Emperor Training Ground. Congratulations on completing the special task. Rescuing Su Qingyang. You have received task points and unrestricted training time. Congratulations on completing the special task. Exploring the Nether Swamp. You have received task points and unrestricted training time. Congratulations on completing the private task. Bringing back Su Qingyang's soul. You have received ordinary points and 100 days of unrestricted training time in the Human Emperor Training Ground." The 4 consecutive task completions left Lin Moyu stunned. He hadn't expected his single mission to be split into 4 tasks. He could understand the first 3 special tasks, but the last private task puzzled him. He had never heard of private tasks being issued in the Human Emperor Network. What level of influence was required to affect the Human Emperor Network? Lin Moyu didn't dare to think further. The 3 special tasks earned him a total of 300,000 task points, 100 million ordinary points, 10,000 military merits, for contribution points, 1 military supply point, and 1,200 days of unrestricted training time in the Human Emperor Training Ground.
Totally worth it.
Even with Lin Moyu's calm demeanor, he was extremely excited at this moment. Although the mission was dangerous, the rewards were incredibly generous. With this, he had completed the tasks required for 4th level permissions, accumulating 640,000 task points, just a bit short of advancing to 5th level permissions. He now had 34,000 points available for spending, so he wasn't short of money for the time being. The 10,000 military merits directly promoted his rank to a 7th level sergeant. He now had 3,500 days of training time in the Human Emperor Training Ground, an unimaginable wealth for most cultivators. His total contribution points reached 8, and he had 3 military supply points. After carefully reviewing everything, Lin Moyu quickly opened the contribution list. As expected, he had leaped to the top. He was now ranked first on the Vermilion Bird Potential List, Vermilion Bird Contribution List, and Vermilion Bird Combat Power List. The power of faith surged through the void, and the effects of being first on all 3 lists would take some time to manifest. Lin Moyu believed that once he was first on all 3 lists, the power of faith would increase significantly. Just as he was immersed in the joy of his rewards, Zhu Qiwu's voice echoed in his ears.
Come to the fortress exterior.
Upon hearing the summons, Lin Moyu quickly settled his bill and left, then soared into the sky, transforming into a stream of light heading into the void. In the starry sky outside Fortress Number 1, Zhu Qiwu's warship was waiting. Lin Moyu flew into the warship and met Zhu Qiwu. 1389, 1389. Chapter 1389. Wanna perfectly advance to God King? Zhu Qiwu sat leisurely in the warship, sipping tea with half-closed eyes and a smile on his face.
So, did you receive the rewards? Are you satisfied?
Lin Moyu respectfully bowed.
Thank you, Senior.
He knew that receiving such generous rewards was largely due to Zhu Qiwu, who must have spoken highly of him in his report. Zhu Qiwu waved his hand.
These are all well-deserved. Our human clan has always been like this. Rewards for merit, severe punishment for faults.
Lin Moyu naturally understood this principle, as the human clan had always operated this way. Zhu Qiwu then asked,
When do you plan to advance to God King?
Lin Moyu replied,
I indeed plan to advance to God King soon, but I still have some issues with the laws. However, I don't think it will be too difficult to resolve. At the fastest, I can succeed in half a year. At the slowest, within 2 years.
Zhu Qiwu nodded.
Once you advance to God King, you'll be eligible to participate in the 4-star domain's grand competition. By then I'll have Zhu Tian give you a spot, so you won't have to go through round after round of battles.
With Zhu Qiwu's assurance, Lin Moyu felt relieved. As long as Zhu Qiwu spoke, Zhu Tian would undoubtedly give him a spot. Lin Moyu felt a bit grateful.
Senior, I still have some questions I'd like to ask you.
Zhu Qiwu chuckled.
Sit down, have some tea, and ask slowly. The God King realm is very important. You can't rush it.
Lin Moyu naturally wouldn't let Zhu Qiwu make tea for him. Instead, he respectfully brewed tea for Zhu Qiwu. In Lin Moyu's mind, Zhu Qiwu was like a teacher from a small world, a very respectable elder. Lin Moyu asked his question.
Senior, I want to know how to perfectly advance to God King.
Zhu Qiwu's eyes showed a smile, as if he had anticipated Lin Moyu's question. Lin Moyu had many questions, but the most important one was how to advance to God King perfectly. The prerequisite for advancing to God King is a 3rd-grade soul, which Lin Moyu had no problem with. Lin Moyu's soul had already reached the peak of the 4th grade, with a jade-like soul that was stronger than most god sovereigns. Next was the mastery of one's own laws. A 9th-rank true deity's mastery of their own laws is 26%, while a god king's is 30%. As long as one continuously comprehends the laws and increases their mastery to 30%, with a strong enough soul, they can naturally advance to God King. This is what every true deity must do to advance to God King. Lin Moyu wanted to know how to comprehend the laws more perfectly. According to what he knew, almost everyone had flaws in their comprehension of the laws. These flaws might not be apparent at the 1st rank of God King, but they would become evident when preparing to advance to God Sovereign at the 9th rank of God King. By then, trying to go back and fix the flaws would be extremely difficult. Lin Moyu naturally didn't want this, so he wanted to advance to God King perfectly. Zhu Qiwu sipped the hot tea Lin Moyu had poured for him and slowly said,
You already meet all the requirements to advance to God King. With your comprehension, combined with the power of faith, advancing to God King will be a natural process with no bottlenecks. But if you want to advance perfectly,
Lin Moyu poured more tea for Zhu Qiwu.
Senior must have a way.
Zhu Qiwu nodded.
There is a way, but you will have to pay a price. Please guide me, Senior.
Lin Moyu said joyfully. As long as there was a way, he was willing to pay the price. He wanted his future path to be smoother, which required him to perfect himself. Zhu Qiwu shook his head.
You might not understand what I mean. The perfect advancement I'm talking about might not be the same as what you have in mind.
Lin Moyu was slightly taken aback. He had read about perfect advancement in the materials, but it was certainly not as detailed as what Zhu Qiwu knew.
Is there a difference in perfect advancement?
Lin Moyu asked softly. Zhu Qiwu no longer kept him in suspense.
Most people talk about perfect advancement in terms of laws, not the whole picture. What I mean by perfect advancement also includes the perfection of the physical body. Perfecting the physical body is very difficult. It's rare to find one in a billion who can do it because it requires elevating the physical body to the peak of the true deity realm.
Lin Moyu's heart tightened, knowing that Zhu Qiwu was telling the truth. In the current great world, the soul is valued more than the physical body. Even races with strong physical bodies rely on their soul realm to drive their physical body. When one's cultivation reaches the God King realm, the physical body is still at the super deity realm. When one reaches the God Sovereign realm, the physical body is still at the true deity realm. So Zhu Qiwu was right. Almost no one can achieve true perfect advancement. Lin Moyu's physical body had already reached the peak of the true deity realm, providing a foundation for perfect advancement. Zhu Qiwu chuckled.
But you can do it. You can advance both your soul and physical body to the God King realm simultaneously. But you will have to pay a price, and it's not a small one. You currently have 3 military supply points. You need to use these points to exchange for 2 items from the military warehouse, which will cost you 2 military supply points. However, one of these items is at the God King level, and the other is at the God Sovereign level. According to the rules, you can't exchange for them. At this point, you will need to use contribution points. You can use 1 contribution point plus 1 military supply point to exchange for a God King level treasure. Then use 2 contribution points plus 1 military supply point to exchange for a God Sovereign level treasure.
Lin Moyu suddenly understood that contribution points had this function. Military supply points can only be used to exchange for treasures of the same realm. If combined with contribution points, they can be used to exchange for treasures of a higher realm. The higher the realm, the more contribution points are needed. Lin Moyu was currently at the true deity realm. To exchange for a God King level treasure, he needed to spend 1 contribution point. To exchange for a God Sovereign level treasure, he needed to spend an additional contribution point. Contribution points and military supply points were hard to come by, so Zhu Qiwu said Lin Moyu would have to pay a price. Using military supply points and contribution points now was not cost-effective. If Lin Moyu waited until he became a God Sovereign, he could directly exchange for God Sovereign level treasures. If combined with contribution points, the value of the treasures exchanged would be astonishing. But now, as a true deity, it was not cost-effective. Lin Moyu didn't think much about it.
Please tell me what to exchange for, Senior.
Using up military supply points and contribution points was no big deal. He could earn more later. To him, perfect advancement to God King was more important. Zhu Qiwu chuckled.
All right, you need to exchange for 2 items. One is called the Mirror of Faith, a God Sovereign level treasure that collects the power of faith. It uses the power of faith to reflect yourself, allowing you to see all the flaws in your laws. The second item is called the Low-Grade Demon Stone, from the Starry Sky Demon God Clan. It's a magical treasure that can elevate your physical body from the peak of the true deity realm to the God King realm.
Lin Moyu immediately began the exchange. Opening the military warehouse didn't require him to go there in person. He could operate it through the Human Emperor network with his thoughts. Lin Moyu connected his consciousness to the Human Emperor network.
Open the military warehouse.
The Human Emperor network prompted. Opening the military warehouse will consume 1 military supply point. This action cannot be undone. Please confirm whether to proceed.
Open.
Lin Moyu confirmed with his thoughts. Opening the military warehouse for you. Military supply point has been deducted. 1,390. Chapter 1390. Can't they just combine? Lin Moyu very straightforwardly opened the military supply warehouse, seemingly not at all concerned about the military supply points. Zhu Qiwu's eyes showed a look of satisfaction. Those who achieve great things do not fuss over small matters. If Lin Moyu had hesitated over such a small matter, Zhu Qiwu would have been disappointed in him. A massive warehouse appeared before Lin Moyu, with a starry sky as the backdrop, and all the treasures were placed in the starry sky, like countless stars. Each treasure had a name above it. After making a selection, he could get detailed information about the treasure, including its level, usage, and methods of use. Connecting to the Human Emperor network was somewhat similar to being in an illusion. The difference was that illusions were fake, while the Human Emperor network had a certain degree of reality. Lin Moyu believed that somewhere in the world, there really was such a warehouse, storing countless treasures. The dazzling array of treasures before him were all at the true God level. Lin Moyu only glanced at them briefly before looking away. He spoke loudly.
Consume 2 contribution points.
As his voice fell, the Human Emperor network prompted again. Consuming 2 contribution points, this action cannot be undone. Please confirm whether to proceed.
Consume.
As his voice fell, his contribution points decreased by 2, and the true God level treasures rippled like water waves before disappearing. Immediately, new treasures appeared, this time all at the God Sovereign level. Powerful auras swept over, and Lin Moyu even heard laughter and voices.
Who is this? How can someone at the true God level want to choose God's sovereign level treasures? These young ones nowadays are too overconfident. Quiet down, it's their right.
Various voices entered his ears, and Lin Moyu realized that many of the God's sovereign level treasures had artifact spirits. The military supply warehouse indeed had many good things, with at least thousands of God's sovereign level treasures before him. There were offensive, defensive, and auxiliary treasures, all kinds. Lin Moyu even saw a war god fortress, though it was a replica. If he wanted it now, he could directly use 1 military supply point plus 2 contribution points to get the war god fortress. However, he couldn't use it even if he got it. His strength was too weak to wield it. After looking for a while, he couldn't discern much from just the names, so he didn't waste time and directly said,
I want the Mirror of Faith.
Exchanging for the Mirror of Faith, the warehouse is closing. Please remain in place. The exchanged item will be delivered shortly. This time, the Human Emperor Network didn't ask for confirmation but directly gave a reminder. The warehouse closed instantly, and Lin Moyu's consciousness returned. After the exchange, the Human Emperor Network would deliver the item as quickly as possible. The requirement was to stay in place until the item arrived. Lin Moyu opened the military supply warehouse again for the second exchange. A few minutes later, the exchange was complete. Lin Moyu found that there were more God King level treasures compared to True God and God Sovereign levels. This indicated that God Kings were the backbone of the human clan in the great world. True gods were the foundation, the fresh blood of the human clan. Because they were fresh blood and not strong enough, they didn't need many treasures. God sovereigns were truly powerful, but their numbers were few, so there weren't many treasures. God kings were the main force, so they had the most treasures. Zhu Qiwu smiled.
Finished exchanging?
Lin Moyu nodded.
Yes, just waiting for delivery.
As they spoke, Lin Moyu checked his contribution ranking. He found that his ranking hadn't dropped. It seemed that consuming contribution points didn't affect the ranking. The contribution ranking was based on the total number of contribution points earned. This was similar to task points, which only accumulated and didn't decrease. Zhu Qiwu said softly,
No rush. It takes some time for the items to be delivered. Do you have any other questions? Feel free to ask.
Lin Moyu poured tea for Zhu Qiwu and then said,
Senior, you know I'm working on chain tasks. The chain tasks are to gain entry to the Divine City, and the 4-star domain's grand competition is also for entry to the Divine City. These two seem to conflict.
Zhu Qiwu smiled.
Do you think entering the Divine City means everything will be smooth sailing? Do you think the treatment for the 100th place and the first place in the 4-star domain's grand competition will be the same after entering the Divine City? Do you think the completion of the chain tasks is just for show? Do they have to be viewed separately? Can't they be combined?
Zhu Qiwu's series of rhetorical questions provided Lin Moyu with the answer. Entering the Divine City doesn't mean everything will be smooth sailing. Even in the Divine City, there are different levels with different treatments. The various rules and mechanisms of the human clan are all designed to cultivate talent. What is talent? Someone like Zhu Qiwu is considered talent. One Zhu Qiwu is worth more than thousands of ordinary god sovereigns. So even after entering the Divine City, one must continue to compete and strive until they stand at the pinnacle of the world, looking down on everything. Lin Moyu respectfully bowed.
I understand, Senior.
He then asked about Yuqingru.
Senior, do you have any information about Yuqingru?
Zhu Qiwu replied.
I asked about it, but the response was that your realm isn't high enough to know. A big figure kindly reminded you to keep that small sword safe. It will be useful in the future. A big figure?
Lin Moyu was slightly taken aback.
Is it the one I met in the black hole last time?
Zhu Qiwu shook his head.
No, it's Su Qingyang's grandfather. The private task reward you received this time was also given by him. Because you saved Su Qingyang, he generously gave you a piece of advice. Remember it well.
So that's how it was. Lin Moyu finally understood who issued the private task. It turned out to be Su Qingyang's grandfather. Su Qingyang's background was indeed extraordinary. With such a figure around, Su Qingyang's soul would be restored, and his resurrection wouldn't be difficult. If Lin Moyu entered the Divine City in the future, he might have a chance to meet that amusing character again. Lin Moyu then asked a few more questions about cultivation, and Zhu Qiwu answered them all without reservation. He also told Lin Moyu a few points to pay attention to when advancing to God King. After half a day, a warship flew over from the starry sky, flashing like starlight several times before stopping in front of Zhu Qiwu's warship. At the same time, Lin Moyu received a message from the Human Emperor Network that his exchanged items had arrived. Lin Moyu personally received the items and watched the warship leave. He had seen similar operations before when someone delivered items to him in the same manner. Before Lin Moyu could return to the warship, he received another message from Yuzhu.
Captain, in the latest information, none of the top 10 on the bounty list are on the battlefield.
Yuzhu's words carried a hint of disappointment. Lin Moyu replied,
Thank you. I'll be in seclusion for a while. Contact me when I come out.
Yuzhu responded,
Captain, are you going to break through to God King? Good luck. I'll keep an eye on those guys.
Guessing that Lin Moyu was about to break through to God King, this little fangirl was more excited than Lin Moyu himself. Lin Moyu returned to the warship with the exchanged items. Zhu Qiwu said,
Let's go. I'll find a place for you to break through to God King.
1391, 1391. Chapter 1391. The mysterious place on the battlefield. The warship continuously jumped through the starry sky, surrounded by nothing but void, with even starlight hard to see. Lin Moyu felt that he was moving at an astonishing speed. This feeling wasn't due to the speed itself, but rather a spatial distortion causing the sensation. The warship's mode of operation involved some aspects of space laws, but it didn't touch the core, making it a very advanced application. Zhu Qiwu was still leisurely drinking tea in the warship. From their previous conversation, Lin Moyu already knew that the place to break through to God King was also particular. This particularity wasn't important for most cultivators. But if one wanted to achieve a perfect breakthrough, every detail had to be considered. A small mistake could lead to a huge error. It was like when he was in the star array of the War God Hall, where every aspect was a form of assistance. Zhu Qiwu reminded Lin Moyu of his teachers in the small world. Bai Yiyuan, Meng Anwen, and Yen Guangxing were like teachers and fathers to him, giving their all for his growth. Zhu Qiwu gave him a similar feeling, a very kind elder. Perhaps he wanted to cultivate future generations for the human clan, or maybe he had other personal motives, but his kindness was genuine, and Lin Moyu could deeply feel it. Lin Moyu appreciated and remembered this kindness. Zhu Qiwu suddenly spoke, interrupting Lin Moyu's chaotic thoughts.
Actually, the battlefield is a very magical place. It exists within the great world but is also independent of it. It's like two completely different spaces, intertwined and inseparable, but in some places, they are independent.
Lin Moyu pondered Zhu Qiwu's words, reflecting on his own experiences, and found them to be true. Just like the chaotic rules, various illogical rules indeed didn't fit with the great world. But in some places, they seemed to follow the rules of the great world, even taking the great world as the standard. Zhu Qiwu took a sip of tea and continued.
In such a wonderful environment, we found a few magical places. If you want to break through to God King, those places are the best environment. After all, this is just a battlefield. You will eventually leave it. The great world is your main stage. So during the breakthrough process, try not to get contaminated by the battlefield's aura and avoid being influenced by it.
Lin Moyu asked with some confusion.
According to this, being contaminated by the battlefield's aura is not good for us. But why do so many people break through on the battlefield?
Zhu Qiwu laughed.
Because for most people, it doesn't matter much, and the battlefield's aura can be cleaned up later. It's just that the deeper the contamination, the longer and more troublesome the cleanup. Let me tell you, We old guys would never break through to God's sovereign on the battlefield. Understand?
Lin Moyu roughly understood. Zhu Qiwu said so much to emphasize the importance of purity. Purity of the body and soul. The great world and the battlefield have conflicts on some levels.
But I've already broken through many times on the battlefield.
Lin Moyu seemed a bit worried, as he had already been contaminated by the battlefield's aura and rules. Zhu Qiwu chuckled.
No worries, your realm is still low, and you haven't been on the battlefield for long. Cleaning it up is easy. The battlefield isn't a demon. We don't need to resist it but find ways to use it.
After a long time of jumping, the warship finally stopped. The two left the warship, arriving at a secret place not marked on any star map, surrounded by desolate void, with nothing in sight, until Zhu Qiwu took out a token, which glowed and illuminated the void. A giant formation appeared in the void, revealing a war god fortress. Although it was just a replica, it still exuded a majestic aura. Once the war god fortress fully activated, even ordinary god sovereigns would have to retreat. Moreover, where there was a war god fortress, there would be a human clan army and god sovereigns guarding it. Zhu Qiwu led Lin Moyu into the formation, and then the formation, along with the war god fortress, disappeared into the void, completely vanishing. Invisible to the naked eye and hard to sense with the soul. Zhu Qiwu smiled.
Do you know how many war god fortresses are in this area?
Lin Moyu shook his head. How could he know that? Zhu Qiwu chuckled and didn't continue. He was clearly doing it on purpose, deliberately keeping people in suspense. But Lin Moyu could imagine that the number of war god fortresses wouldn't be small. The human clan stationed a large army here, and it was so secretive there must be a purpose. If he guessed correctly, this should be one of the magical places Zhu Qiwu mentioned. They didn't enter the war god fortress. The area covered by the formation was vast, exceeding 10 million kilometers, and the war god fortress was just a small part of it. As they flew over the war god fortress, Lin Moyu saw an army. The army wasn't large, only 1,000 people. But each one exuded a majestic aura, and in Lin Moyu's perception, these people were at least high-rank god kings. Compared to the garrison in the Star Fortress, the soldiers here were clearly a level higher. Zhu Qiwu chuckled.
They are all 9th-rank god kings, led by a minor deity.
Lin Moyu's heart trembled. Such an army was already the elite of the elite. The patrolling team didn't pay attention to the two and continued their mission. The two flew deeper into the void, and Lin Moyu gradually felt something unusual. The battlefield's aura rapidly weakened, and the great world's aura began to strengthen. After flying 1,000,000 kilometers, Lin Moyu felt like he had returned to the great world, with no battlefield aura. Having been on the battlefield for so long, he was very familiar with its aura and could clearly distinguish between the two. This was the magical place Zhu Qiwu mentioned. It was clearly on the battlefield but felt like the great world. Two different rules, two different spaces, yet such a pure area existed. The great world's laws were very clear here. On the battlefield, due to the battlefield's aura, the great world's laws were somewhat obscure, making comprehension relatively difficult. If one didn't perform tasks and only cultivated on the battlefield, the efficiency would be lower than in the great world. Constantly performing tasks, comprehending in battle, and obtaining treasures unavailable in the great world was the correct way to cultivate on the battlefield. But here, without the battlefield's interference, it was no different from the great world. After flying another 1,000,000 kilometers, Lin Moyu's expression became strange. The great world's aura became even stronger, and except for the lack of starlight, he felt like he had left the battlefield. No, it wasn't just leaving the battlefield. Zhu Qiwu stopped.
How do you feel?
Lin Moyu closed his eyes to sense and then said solemnly,
I feel like the great world's laws are compressed here, making them clearer and easier to comprehend. But it's still not as good as the Sea of Laws.
Zhu Qiwu laughed.
Your perception is sharp.
He continued flying deeper. 1392 1392. Chapter 1392. The human race's fire, passed down through generations. Following Zhu Qiwu, Lin Moyu continued to fly deeper into the mysterious place. The aura of the great world became increasingly dense, and a large number of laws were compressed by an invisible force, converging together and becoming clearer. Lin Moyu also felt an invisible pressure falling on him. This invisible force not only compressed the laws but also squeezed him. As he delved deeper, the squeezing force grew stronger. This force squeezed not only his physical body and soul but also the laws within him. Lin Moyu felt that his undead law became clearer under this invisible pressure. After flying a bit further, Zhu Qiwu stopped for the second time. By now, they had flown 2 million kilometers away from the War God Fortress, which had disappeared from sight and could no longer be observed with the naked eye. Zhu Qiwu pointed in a direction.
Can you see anything?
Lin Moyu strained his eyes but initially saw nothing. However, since Zhu Qiwu had pointed it out, there must be something there. He didn't summon the skeleton to activate the undead vision, but instead gathered his power in his eyes and looked again. Gradually, an extremely faint light in the endless void converged in his eyes, and he saw a star without any light. This star didn't emit light but also didn't absorb light like a black hole. So, with the faintest starlight, Lin Moyu saw it. But upon closer inspection, he realized it wasn't a star at all. The star was a mass of laws compressed together by an invisible force, eventually taking shape. Various laws were compressed together, forming a mass that looked like a star. It was similar to the law stars in the human race's sea of laws, all being aggregates of laws. However, law stars were formed by one or at most two types of laws, unlike the mass he saw now, which contained almost all the laws of the great world. Lin Moyu thought of something and showed a look of astonishment. Zhu Qiwu saw his expression and knew Lin Moyu had figured it out.
What did you think of? Tell me.
Lin Moyu, with a serene expression, said,
So many laws, many of which are conflicting. Won't they explode? Isn't the fact right in front of you?
Lin Moyu had a sudden realization.
So, as long as there is enough power, any conflicting laws can be changed.
Zhu Qiwu laughed heartily.
That's right. As long as the power is strong enough, it can turn decay into magic. There's nothing that can't be changed.
Lin Moyu nodded, but he was thinking of something else. He completely believed what Antares had said, that his wife's talent could be changed, and so could her fate. As long as his power was strong enough, nothing couldn't be changed. Even if fate was already determined, he could forcibly reverse it.
As long as the power is strong enough.
Lin Moyu clenched his fists, his gaze becoming extremely determined. Zhu Qiwu continued,
This mysterious place is divided into 10 layers. With each layer you enter, the squeezing force doubles, and the laws become clearer. Not only the laws outside but also the laws within you will become clearer. When you use the mirror of faith to reflect yourself with the power of faith, you can clearly see your flaws and make corrections. But the deeper you go, the greater the pressure you will endure. This depends on you, how far you can go.
With that, Zhu Qiwu continued to fly forward. They had been in the 10th layer, the outermost layer. The squeezing force of the 10th layer was too gentle for Lin Moyu, having no effect at all. As they continued deeper, the squeezing force rapidly increased. The 2nd layer, the 3rd layer, the 4th layer. Soon, they entered the 5th layer. Suddenly, they saw others. There were people here and not just one. In their sight, over 100 people were sitting cross-legged in the void, meditating. Most of them wore military uniforms, indicating they were from the military. There were also some without military uniforms, wearing somewhat peculiar clothing, different from the cultivators in the Vermilion Bird Starfield. Lin Moyu had seen similar clothing on Su Jianxing, deducing that they were likely from the Divine City. Here, both military personnel and people from the Divine City were cultivating. Zhu Qiwu said,
Do you know why they choose to cultivate here?
The human race clearly has the more efficient sea of laws, so why go to the trouble of coming here to cultivate? Along the way, Zhu Qiwu kept asking questions, seemingly testing Lin Moyu's thinking ability. For a cultivator, it's important to know not only how to do things but also why they are done that way. Only by understanding the reasons can one achieve greater success in the future. After observing for a few seconds, Lin Moyu had an answer.
Because here, they can not only cultivate the laws but also temper their physical bodies and souls.
The omnipresent squeezing force not only clarifies the laws but also tempers the physical body and soul. Overall, the cultivation effect here might be better than in the Sea of Laws. Zhu Qiwu was very satisfied with Lin Moyu's answer.
Well said. They are all geniuses from the military and the divine city, known as the human race's fire seeds. This mysterious place is only accessible to the human race's fire seeds.
Lin Moyu's spirit was lifted. Did this mean he was also a fire seed of the human race? Zhu Qiwu patted Lin Moyu's shoulder.
Don't doubt it. You are also one of the fire seeds. As long as the fire seeds exist, the human race will never perish.
The fire seeds will never extinguish, and the human race will never perish. This sentence seemed to have boundless magic, stirring Lin Moyu's heart. In the small world, he had fought to the death for the human race. At that time, most of the professionals in the small world did the same. The same spirit existed in the great world. Zhu Qiwu said,
Go ahead. The rest of the path is up to you. Go to your limit, then break through to God King.
Zhu Qiwu couldn't go any deeper. Although he didn't care about the squeezing force, as a peak god sovereign, the squeezing force here was like child's play to him, childish and laughable. But precisely because his power was too strong, his presence would affect the environment here and even others' cultivation. Lin Moyu had long noticed that the laws within Zhu Qiwu were affected by the squeezing force, starting to converge. If Zhu Qiwu didn't actively control it, the manifestation of God-sovereign level laws would directly disperse other laws. Lin Moyu nodded.
Thank you, Senior.
With that, he continued to fly deeper, soon disappearing from Zhu Qiwu's sight. When Zhu Qiwu and Lin Moyu arrived, some cultivators were already awakened. They all curiously watched Lin Moyu. Here, everyone's identity was the same. The human race's fire seeds. The fire seeds were all geniuses, and only geniuses worthy of cultivation could come here. But similarly, there was competition among the fire seeds. The stronger the genius, the more resources they would receive, naturally leading to competition. A great strongman once said that a race without competition has no future. This sentence was deeply imprinted in everyone's soul. 1393 1393. Chapter 1393. No weaknesses. Stepping into the seventh layer. Under the gaze of dozens of people, Lin Moyu effortlessly crossed the fifth layer area. Lin Moyu surpassed the geniuses in the fifth layer, causing some dissatisfaction among them. However, instead of feeling discouraged, their fighting spirit was ignited even more. The competition among the fire seed geniuses is not about current strength but about potential. Current strength is temporary. What matters is where you can ultimately reach and what your limits are. Not everyone can reach the peak. Some may start slow but keep moving steadily, eventually surpassing those who started fast. Those who start fast may find themselves unable to move halfway up the mountain. But those who climb steadily may eventually reach the summit. It's not about rushing. It's about long-term perseverance. Lin Moyu continued flying, feeling the increasing pressure from all directions, which was becoming stronger. Compared to the outermost first layer, the pressure had increased several times. If the pressure in the first layer was 1, then the current pressure was about 6. The pressure came from all directions, as if countless hands were trying to compress his body and soul into a ball. His flesh made creaking sounds, and the laws inside and outside his body were compressed together, constantly roaring, appearing on his skin like veins. The same was true for his soul. The invisible pressure fell on the crystal barrier, causing it to tremble slightly. Lin Moyu let out a light shout, and his talent tree swayed, releasing invisible power. The 9-colored dragon soul crystal roared, exhaling dragon breath onto the crystal barrier. With the combined effort, his soul world stabilized. At the same time, his heart beat violently, and the heart of flame burst with powerful energy. Blood flowed like a great river, roaring. His muscles slightly bulged, stretching his clothes. The pressure he felt instantly disappeared, and Lin Moyu became light again. Facing the immense pressure, he let out a light whistle, and his speed suddenly increased. Lin Moyu's soul had reached the peak of the 4th grade, with a jade-like soul. Both his physical body and cultivation were at the 9th rank of a true deity, progressing together. Could be said that Lin Moyu had no weaknesses. He saw others cultivating in this area again. In the 6th layer area, there were also people cultivating, all of them fire seed geniuses of the human race. Compared to those in the 5th layer, their cultivation was higher, and their endurance was stronger. In the 5th layer, Lin Moyu saw both true deities and god kings, with their numbers almost equal. But here, the number of true deities sharply decreased, from a 50-50 split to a 30-70 split, with most being god kings. It was not surprising that god kings had stronger endurance. However, Lin Moyu felt that true deities who could cultivate in the 6th layer had greater potential than the god kings in the same area. Lin Moyu's arrival attracted everyone's attention.
Another genius. A true deity reaching here is rare. Our human race is full of geniuses, truly remarkable. Our race's fire will be passed down, and one day we will reach the peak, with all races bowing to us. That's a bit too much. Even the war god Shao couldn't achieve that. How can we? Hope is necessary for motivation, isn't it?
Everyone discussed as they watched Lin Moyu approach. A middle-aged god king said to Lin Moyu,
"Young man, not bad. Reaching the 6th layer as a true deity is better than I did."
Lin Moyu smiled and nodded.
"Thank you for the compliment, senior. Come, find a good place and cultivate well."
The middle-aged man continued politely. Lin Moyu shook his head.
"Thank you, senior, but I plan to go deeper."
As he spoke, Lin Moyu flew past them and headed towards the deeper area. A few seconds later, Lin Moyu's figure disappeared from their sight. They looked at each other.
His talent is truly high. We underestimated him. He's not an ordinary genius. Could he be a core genius? True deities who can enter the 7th layer are extremely rare.
The God King geniuses sighed, while the true deity geniuses showed dissatisfaction in their eyes. One of them suddenly stood up and silently flew towards the 7th layer. He was also a 9th rank true deity, with a look of strong dissatisfaction and pride in his eyes. As a 9th rank true deity and a fire seed genius, he believed he was no worse than anyone else. But it was clear to everyone that he couldn't fly as easily and naturally as Lin Moyu. The pressure from all directions forced him to exert all his strength to resist. Everyone recognized him. His name was Luosheng, a genius from the Divine City. He was proud by nature, usually silent and always looking dissatisfied, but he wasn't a bad person. Stimulated by Lin Moyu, he became somewhat dissatisfied and wanted to try. After flying a few hundred kilometers, Luosheng suddenly stopped, then flew back, his face pale. In just a few seconds, his body had cracked, covered in blood and wounds. If he had retreated a bit later, he might have turned into a pile of flesh.
The gap is quite large.
Everyone sighed inwardly. Luosheng sat back down, healing his injuries. Lin Moyu continued towards the 7th layer, feeling the pressure from all directions and making his own assessment. From what he had seen, the main issue for these god kings and true deities was their physical bodies. In the 5th layer, the pressure was enough to harm a super deity's body. To stand firm in the 5th layer, one's physical body had to be at least at the high rank of a super deity, which is above the 7th rank. However, according to the cultivation methods of most of the human race, when they first step into the God King realm, their physical bodies are usually between the 3rd rank of a super deity and the 5th rank of a super deity. The physical body is their weakness. In daily battles, the laws protect the physical body, so this weakness isn't apparent. But here, where the laws can't protect the physical body, this weakness becomes evident. The geniuses here all pay attention to their physical bodies, which are clearly stronger than most. Some 9th rank true deities or god kings have physical bodies reaching above the 7th rank of a super deity, allowing them to cultivate in the fifth layer. The fifth layer continuously compresses the physical body, gradually strengthening it. This method is gentle and safe but takes a long time. Using the flash star and flash fire to cultivate the physical body is the fastest method, but it's too dangerous and can lead to death. Only someone like Lin Moyu, who isn't afraid of death, would choose such a cultivation method. In the sixth layer, a true deity's physical body is required to withstand the pressure. It doesn't need to be too high. Even a first-rank true deity's physical body is enough to move in the sixth layer. True deity geniuses and some god kings who have cultivated their physical bodies can achieve this. In the sixth layer, besides the physical body needing to reach the true deity level, the soul must also reach the third grade. Otherwise, it can't withstand the pressure. The soul isn't a problem. Almost everyone who enters meets this requirement. But to enter the seventh layer, the difficulty is much higher. Lin Moyu already felt the pressure from the seventh layer. After a brief assessment, he determined the requirements. A physical body above the seventh rank of a true deity and a peak third-grade soul.
Unexpectedly, a true deity can reach here.
A hoarse, deep voice echoed from the dark void. 1394, 1394. Chapter 1394. Young man who doesn't know his limits. A flame suddenly lit up in front of Lin Moyu, illuminating a large part of the starry sky. Under the pressure of an invisible force, the flame constantly deformed, looking as if it might extinguish at any moment. But it was incredibly tenacious, like a candle in the wind, flickering but not going out. Lin Moyu stopped and looked at the owner of the flame. It was a burly middle-aged god king with a square face, exuding a powerful aura. He was bare-chested, with muscles bulging, showcasing a strong physique. Just one look told Lin Moyu that the other party's physical body was very strong.
He is a high-rank god king, with a physical body at the seventh rank of a true deity, very strong.
Lin Moyu made this judgment in his heart while saluting the other party.
Greetings, senior.
The burly man's voice was as deep as thunder.
No need to be so polite. Anyone who can come here is a fire seed of the human race, a genius. We are all the same.
Following the light of the flame, Lin Moyu saw that there were 17 or 18 others in the light. Among these people, all were god kings, and they were all high-rank god kings. Their strength far surpassed that of ordinary god kings. Their powerful physical bodies and refined laws gave them the ability to fight across ranks. If they could reach the 9th rank of god king, they would be like Jin Hui. If they could reach the minor deity level, they would be comparable to the little Mingwang Bodhisattva. These were the geniuses of the human race, powerful geniuses. At this moment, a small god king in the light said softly,
Chihua, you are wrong. This young man is much stronger than us.
The burly man named Chihua was slightly taken aback, then laughed thunderously.
Indeed, the young man is stronger than us. When we were at the true deity realm, we couldn't reach here.
The 7th layer area required a peak 3rd grade soul and a physical body above the 7th rank of a true deity. Even most high-rank god kings couldn't reach here, let alone true deities. Lin Moyu's ability to reach here was enough to prove his strength. Chihua scratched his head and said loudly,
If I remember correctly, the last true deity to come here was named Su Qitian, right?
At this moment, another god king spoke.
Su Qitian is indeed a rare genius. He reached here at the 9th rank of a true deity and soon broke through to the god king realm. Haha, the Su family is full of geniuses. First, there was Su Qingyang, then Su Qitian, and recently, there's another one named Su Jianxing, who is also very good.
Once the conversation started, it was hard to stop. Lin Moyu listened silently.
So Su Qingyang and Su Jianxing come from the same family, the Su family of the Divine City. The ancestor of the Su family is very powerful, capable of issuing private tasks in the human emperor network, not an ordinary person. Su Jianxing is indeed excellent, with very high talent. The Su family of the Divine City must be a very powerful family.
After discussing for a while, the god kings finally turned their attention to Lin Moyu. Chi Hu waved his hand, and the flame became brighter, illuminating a larger area.
Young man, find a place you like.
Lin Moyu said.
Thank you, senior. I want to go further in.
His words immediately drew everyone's attention. Even those who had not opened their eyes couldn't help but look at him curiously. Lin Moyu actually said he wanted to go further in. But the next area was the 8th layer. Could a true deity enter there? Chi Hu said in a deep voice.
Young man, you are already excellent to have reached here. Such excellence is rare among the human race. But the 8th layer is really not for you.
Someone else added.
Young man, do you know the requirements for the 8th layer? It requires a physical body at the 9th rank of a true deity and a 4th grade soul. You are just a true deity. Even if your soul can reach the 4th grade, what about your physical body? If you go, you will die.
Among the human race, a true deity with a 4th grade soul might occasionally appear by luck. But having both the cultivation and physical body at the same level has never been heard of. Not just among the human race, even the dragon race, known for their strong physical bodies, have physical bodies slightly lower than their cultivation level. Otherwise, the god kings here wouldn't still have their current physical bodies after so many years of hard cultivation. Lin Moyu knew his own situation. He was at the 9th rank of a true deity, but his physical body was at the peak of the true deity realm, even higher than his cultivation level. This was the power of the flash star and flash fire. As long as you were willing to pay the price, you would be rewarded. If successful, the physical body would be incredibly strong. If you failed, you would die. It was a gamble with one's life. Hearing their words, Lin Moyu had already made up his mind.
I'll give it a try. If it doesn't work, I'll come back.
Everyone has their own choices. Chi Hu didn't stop Lin Moyu.
Young people don't know their limits until they hit a wall. Go ahead and see.
The other god kings also watched Lin Moyu, not trying to dissuade him. The pressure didn't increase all at once but linearly. When Lin Moyu couldn't bear it, he would naturally retreat. After saluting the god kings, Lin Moyu flew towards the 8th layer area. Seeing Lin Moyu disappear from sight, someone sighed.
He's a good young man, but he doesn't know his limits. That's normal. Maybe he had a smooth journey growing up and hasn't faced many hardships. When he faces hardships, he will understand that reality is different from imagination.
At this moment, Chi Hu scratched his head.
Why do I feel that his physical body is a bit strange? Didn't you notice that he didn't seem to be resisting the pressure at all?
The god kings here constantly had their physical bodies in motion to resist the continuous pressure. The pressure was everywhere. Even the muscles on their faces were in a state of slight vibration. But Lin Moyu didn't show any signs of that. Hearing Chi Hu's words, the others remembered. They weren't fools and immediately realized something, showing astonished expressions. Lin Moyu's physical body hadn't reached its limit, so he didn't need to resist. They looked at each other, hardly believing it. Chi Hu said in a deep voice,
I'm very curious. I want to follow and see.
The others knew Chi Hu's strength. His physical body was close to the 9th rank of a true deity, so entering the 8th layer for a short time wouldn't be a problem. Chi Hu turned into a red light and chased after Lin Moyu. The flame disappeared, and the starry sky became quiet again. On the way to the 8th layer, the pressure continued to increase. At this moment, the law star at the deepest point was already clearly visible. This star, formed by countless laws compressed together by immense force, was now nakedly presented in sight. In the law star, countless laws intertwined and entangled, with no conflicts occurring. Lin Moyu even saw a wisp of water law and fire law touching each other without any issues. For countless cultivators, this was simply a miracle.
As long as the power is strong enough, miracles can indeed be created.
The pressure grew stronger, and Lin Moyu's physical body reacted for the second time. His heartbeat roared, bursting with powerful energy, his blood boiling, instinctively resisting the pressure from all directions.
Finally, I can feel it.
Lin Moyu smiled. 1,395, 1,395. Chapter 1395. Coexistence of Madness and Calm. As Lin Moyu approached the 8th layer area, he finally felt a bit of interest, something that could make him take things seriously. Previously, he had only used a bit of effort, and the pressure had no effect on him. Coming here felt as simple as strolling through a garden. The pressure was insufficient to provide effective stimulation, and the benefits during the breakthrough would correspondingly decrease. Zhu Qiwu had said that it was best to reach one's limit. Although it would be a bit dangerous, the greater the danger, the greater the benefits. Mediocre people will ultimately be content with mediocrity. Sometimes only those who are a bit mad can gain more benefits. Of course, this madness must be rational, not insanity. Lin Moyu had a madness in his bones, having faced death repeatedly in the small world, dying and living, living and dying. Only he knew the madness in his bones. At this moment, he finally felt a bit of pressure, and his interest was piqued. Finally, he stepped into the 8th layer area. His blood boiled, and it seemed as if every drop of blood in his body was cheering. The heart, fused with the flame of fire, beat madly, pumping more blood. A drum-like sound emanated from Lin Moyu's body, roaring continuously. In the 8th layer area, 3 god kings simultaneously opened their eyes. All 3 were at the 9th rank of god king, possessing the physical bodies of 9th rank true deities. From a physical standpoint, the 3 were already superior to many god sovereigns. Many god sovereigns only had physical bodies at the 4th or 5th rank of true deities. The 3 not only had strong physical bodies but also incredibly powerful laws. Here, the laws were constantly compressed almost to the point of materialization. They used this to comprehend their own laws, and when they wielded them, the laws could unleash great power. Coupled with their 4th-grade soul realms, once they unleashed their soul law domains, they could almost crush those of the same realm. In Lin Moyu's eyes, these 3 were even stronger than Jin Hui, likely able to contend with minor god sovereigns like the Black Sand God King. The 3 looked at Lin Moyu with strange expressions.
A true deity.
A true deity coming here was somewhat unbelievable. The 3 might not have spoken for a long time and didn't react immediately. At this moment, Lin Moyu had already flown past them.
Greetings, seniors.
Lin Moyu's voice echoed in their souls, and by the time they reacted, Lin Moyu had disappeared from their sight. The 3 looked at each other, somewhat puzzled. What just happened? It seemed someone had passed by, and it was a true deity who had crossed the 8th layer area. This was like seeing a ghost. The same thought occurred to all 3.
Did we hallucinate?
A light approached from afar, drawing a long line of fire in the void, illuminating the desolate space. Chi Hu arrived in front of the 3, clasping his fists in greeting, his tone slightly urgent.
Seniors, have you seen a young man at the true deity realm?
The muscles on his face trembled continuously, resisting the strong pressure. He hadn't seen Lin Moyu along the way and was a bit anxious. In his view, although Lin Moyu was somewhat reckless, he was still a fire seed genius of the human race. The fire of the human race must be passed down, and he couldn't just watch Lin Moyu die. So he had chased after him, ready to rescue Lin Moyu if he was in danger. The 3 recognized Chi Hu.
Junior brother Chi Hu, what happened?
Chi Hu quickly explained Lin Moyu's situation. Only then did the 3 realize they hadn't hallucinated. One of them said,
Indeed, a young man just passed by, and he was at the true deity realm.
Chi Hu asked urgently,
Where did he go? Is he injured?
The 3 shook their heads.
No injuries, full of energy. He greeted us and then went deeper. It seems he's heading to the 9th layer area.
Chi Hu was stunned, then let out a strange cry.
The 9th layer area? How is that possible? Yes, the 9th layer area. It didn't seem to be his limit. Such a young man, a true deity reaching this level. I'm quite curious. Why don't we go take a look?
The 3 discussed for a while and decided to go see Lin Moyu. As for Chi Hu, this was already his limit, and he couldn't go any further. Chi Hu immediately said,
Please, seniors, this young man is exceptionally talented. If he's in danger, please save him.
The three spoke in unison.
Nonsense, the fire of the human race must be passed down. How could we let him die?
With that, the three turned into streams of light and chased after Lin Moyu. Chi Hua was left in place, unsure whether to stay or leave. His muscles twitched continuously, and his flames flickered, the pressure from all directions causing him great discomfort. This was his limit, and he couldn't stay here for long. But now he couldn't leave or stay. If he stayed too long, he would die. After much hesitation, Chi Hua began to retreat, moving back hundreds of thousands of kilometers. He stared in the direction Lin Moyu had gone, waiting quietly. Although he couldn't stay here for long, waiting for a while was no problem. He used all his strength to resist the pressure, enduring as long as he could. Without definite news, he felt uneasy and worried. On his way to the 9th layer area, Lin Moyu felt the increasing pressure, pushing him to his limit.
If the 8th layer area's limit is the 9th rank of a true deity, then the 9th layer should surpass the 9th rank of a true deity. The strong pressure is meant for the physical bodies of God Kings, exceeding my limit. But I can let the undead share the damage I endure, so I won't be in danger. I can also control the amount shared, constantly adjusting to my true limit.
His eyes were filled with madness and extreme calm. Madness and calm, two seemingly opposing emotions, coexisted in Lin Moyu. Just as life and death, two opposing existences, coexist in the undead law. Contradictory yet reasonable. Lin Moyu hadn't used his passive spells before because the pressure wasn't strong enough to harm him. But he never forgot that he had this ability. He wouldn't use it until he reached his true limit. He wanted to test his true limit, allowing his physical body to break through to the God King realm with the help of the low-grade demon stone during the breakthrough. A physical body at the God King realm is exclusive to a very few. If one can reach the God King realm with their physical body while still a minor God sovereign, they are truly powerful geniuses. Lin Moyu had never seen such a genius. He had seen few minor God sovereigns, and even the little Ming Wang Bodhisattva hadn't reached this level. Even among God sovereigns, those with physical bodies at the God King realm were extremely rare and all exceptionally powerful geniuses. For example, Zhu Qiwu and Zhu Tian. Others like the Night Wind God Sovereign and the Legion commanders in the Star Fortress didn't have physical bodies at the God King realm. This shows how difficult it is to reach the God King realm with the physical body. The physical body is hard to cultivate, which is why there are so few who do so in the great world. As Lin Moyu pondered, a sharp pain suddenly appeared in his physical body. The strong pressure finally caused damage to his physical body, activating his passive spells, and the damage was quickly transferred to the undead. Lin Moyu felt only a slight pain with no real harm.
My physical body has finally reached its limit.
1396 Chapter 1396 The brightest star in nearly 1,000 years. With a thought, Lin Moyu actively suppressed the damage transfer, no longer letting the undead share the damage. In an instant, a wound appeared on his skin, not like an external cut by a sharp blade, but more like an internal explosion. The wound wasn't large, just a superficial injury, and no blood flowed out. Lin Moyu controlled his own blood, preventing it from flowing out. An invisible force continuously squeezed from the outside to the inside, causing one wound after another to appear, like balloons constantly bursting. The sound of skin cracking and Lin Moyu's strong heartbeat formed a terrifying symphony. In the blink of an eye, Lin Moyu was covered in wounds, his entire body filled with injuries, looking extremely horrifying. In the next second, Lin Moyu's entire body glowed with a white light. The power of life from the undying law flowed throughout his body, healing the wounds at an astonishing speed. The healing power of the undying law was even stronger than that of the life law. Small wounds were no problem at all. The undying law rippled through his body, quickly healing the wounds wherever it passed. The sound of cracking continued, and his skin kept bursting open, but the healing never stopped.
It really hurts.
Lin Moyu gritted his teeth in pain. Due to the existence of damage transfer, he rarely got injured. Even when he died many times while practicing skills, it was mostly instant death. This was the first time he experienced the feeling of being cut by a dull knife. The pain was continuous, seemingly endless. Lin Moyu felt both pain and joy, constantly exploring his true limits. As he got closer to the 9th layer, the squeezing force had already surpassed the true God realm, stepping into the God King realm. Each wound that burst open was much larger, and blood began to uncontrollably fly out. The blood, containing powerful life force, dripped into the desolate void, adding a strange color to this silent world. The undying law became even more frenzied, healing faster and faster. The laws here were also being squeezed, with a large number of laws compressed together, becoming clearer and thicker. Similarly, fine control became more difficult. What originally required only a single strand now required dozens or even hundreds of strands. Moreover, the consumption during manipulation also increased accordingly. As a result, the requirements for controlling the laws became higher. Lin Moyu, relying on his powerful soul, tried to control the laws as finely as possible. Here, besides tempering the physical body and comprehending the laws, one could also train in controlling the laws. Stronger control over the laws could also enhance one's strength. Overall, this place was indeed marvelous. For Lin Moyu, the least pressure came from his soul, as its quality was too high. A 4th-grade peak soul allowed him to handle it with ease. Lin Moyu's entire body glowed with white light, like a giant light bulb, illuminating the dark night sky. The undying law fully converted into the power of life, continuously operating, striving to heal Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu stopped and saw a person quietly sitting cross-legged in the starry sky. In the 9th layer area, a senior of the human race was cultivating. His body constantly fluctuated, sometimes sinking, sometimes expanding, fighting against the squeezing force in the void. Lin Moyu clasped his fists and saluted.
Greetings, Senior.
The other person slowly opened his eyes, his gaze somewhat scattered and indifferent.
It's been a long time since anyone came to the 9th layer.
The voice abruptly stopped, and the scattered gaze instantly focused, becoming as sharp as a sword, filled with shock.
A true god.
The slightly hoarse voice struggled to utter 2 words. He seemed unable to believe what he was seeing. The Lin Moyu before him was actually a true god.
How could it be a true god?
After staring for a few seconds, he had to admit that the person before him was indeed a true god. A true god coming to the 9th layer area was unheard of. He could see that Lin Moyu's physical body couldn't withstand the squeezing force here. Otherwise, he wouldn't be injured. This place had already surpassed Lin Moyu's limits. But because Lin Moyu's law healing speed was too fast, constantly getting injured and recovering, it allowed Lin Moyu to reach here.
So, it's borrowing the power of the laws, the life law.
With this thought, he could accept the fact and mistakenly identified Lin Moyu's law as the life law. He stared at Lin Moyu, and Lin Moyu stared back at him. Lin Moyu felt a similar aura to the little Ming Wang Bodhisattva from him. This was a minor deity. At the same time, he also felt a sense of threat. This minor deity was much stronger than the little Ming Wang Bodhisattva, strong enough to kill him. His skin vibrated continuously without getting injured, clearly able to withstand the pressure here. A minor deity's realm, a god king's physical body, and meticulous control over the laws. All indicated his immense combat power. The hoarse voice sounded again.
Young man, what's your name?
Lin Moyu respectfully saluted.
Junior Lin Moyu. May I ask Senior's name? Shao Xing.
The 2 words thundered in Lin Moyu's mind. In the information he had read, many records mentioned Shao Sheng, the star of the human race, invincible in the same realm, able to fight across realms, the successor of the god of war, all pointed to the same person, Shao Sheng. Shao Sheng was known as the brightest star in the human race in nearly 1,000 years, the most dazzling genius. Shao Sheng had once topped the demon's must-kill list, but all those who tried to kill him were killed by Shao Sheng instead. Even those whose realms surpassed Shao Sheng were no match for him. Xiao Shang at the super deity realm had killed true gods across realms. At the 7th rank of true god, he had killed god kings across realms. At the 5th rank of god king, he had slain minor deities. At the 9th rank of god king, he fought a demon deity to a standstill. When he became a minor deity, he fought the same opponent again and killed him. Each battle became a part of his glory and honor. Some called him the reincarnation of the god of war, with the potential to become the second Xiao Zhantian, and the fact that they shared the same surname added to the mystery. In the past 200 years, Xiao Shang's name had faded. He disappeared, and no one knew his whereabouts. Most believed Xiao Shang had gone into seclusion and would astonish the world when he reappeared. Combining the descriptions in the records, Lin Moyu was certain that the Xiao Shang before him was the same Xiao Shang who had topped the demon's must-kill list. Unexpectedly, the long-vanished Xiao Shang was cultivating here.
Greetings, Senior Xiao.
Lin Moyu saluted Xiao Shang again, showing respect. Such a person deserved respect. Xiao Shang looked at Lin Moyu.
Young man, you are very good. It's great to have such a junior in the human race.
Although Lin Moyu relied on the laws to reach here, the fact that he could come was what mattered most. Lin Moyu accepted Xiao Shang's praise calmly.
Thank you for the compliment, Senior.
With just a few words, Lin Moyu could tell that Xiao Shang was not very talkative. This was similar to himself. Except with friends, Lin Moyu also didn't talk much. Xiao Shang pointed around.
It's empty here. Feel free to choose a spot, but don't get too close to me. Keep a distance of at least 10,000 kilometers. Understood.
Lin Moyu didn't ask why, knowing there must be a reason. He also needed some distance. Lin Moyu chose a direction and sat cross-legged 10,000 kilometers away from Xiao Shang, beginning his cultivation. For now, he didn't want to go any deeper. Here, the power of life and the squeezing force had reached a balance. Going further would be difficult, unless he let the undead share the damage, but that wouldn't benefit him, so it was unnecessary. This place was already his current limit, a perfect spot for a breakthrough.
Let's begin.
1397, 1397. Chapter 1397. Hope you don't end up like me. Lin Moyu closed his eyes for a few minutes, continuously adjusting the laws within his body to adapt to the current environment. His entire body was boiling with energy, and the power of the heart of flame drove his heart to beat madly, thundering like a drum. A few minutes later, Lin Moyu opened his eyes again, his gaze sharp and bright. He reached out and took out the mirror of faith, a palm-sized mirror with a blurry surface, reflecting nothing. He hadn't used the detection technique for a long time, but now he cast it on the mirror of faith. The corresponding information quickly reflected in his mind. Mirror of faith. A God's sovereign-level treasure, driven by the power of faith. It can reflect oneself, revealing all one's shortcomings. Note: this treasure requires the power of faith to operate. Without sufficient power of faith, it will have no effect. After understanding the function of this treasure, Lin Moyu naturally understood its pros and cons overall. This treasure was somewhat niche, even useless for most cultivators. It wasn't an offensive or defensive treasure, but purely an auxiliary one. Moreover, it wasn't even a combat auxiliary treasure, just a cultivation auxiliary treasure. There were many cultivation auxiliary treasures, each with different effects. From its effects, the mirror of faith was very clear, allowing one to see their shortcomings and make targeted corrections. However, because it required the power of faith to operate and could only be used by oneself, its usefulness was greatly reduced. As far as Lin Moyu knew, most people didn't have much power of faith. To drive a God's sovereign-level treasure, the required power of faith wouldn't be a small amount. So, for most cultivators, this treasure was practically useless. Zhu Qiwu had Lin Moyu exchange for it mainly because Lin Moyu had a vast amount of power of faith, enough to drive it. After reaching the top of both the potential and combat power lists, his power of faith began to increase significantly. Lin Moyu had never been able to use the power of faith, so it had accumulated over a long time. Now, being first on 3 lists, the increase in power of faith was even greater, with a vast amount coming in every moment. His soul opened its eyes, driving the power of faith into the mirror of faith. The power of faith was formless and intangible, more ethereal than laws, but it truly existed and could be driven by the soul. After the mirror of faith absorbed enough power of faith, it gradually lit up and began to glow. The originally blurry mirror surface became clear, reflecting Lin Moyu's appearance. Then the mirror automatically expanded, becoming as tall as Lin Moyu. The square mirror of faith stood in front of Lin Moyu, clearly reflecting his image. Then the mirror of faith began to split, 1 becoming 2, 2 becoming 4 becoming 8. In the blink of an eye, countless mirrors of faith surrounded Lin Moyu. Everywhere he looked, he saw his own reflection. From head to toe, front to back. From the overall view to every single hair, everything was reflected in these 360 mirrors. First the surface, then the inside. The flow of blood, the direction of bones and meridians, the fluctuations of internal laws, all kinds of conditions were reflected in the mirrors. Then the mirrors began to shine, with 360 spotlights illuminating Lin Moyu. At the same time, streams of information entered Lin Moyu's soul. Using the power of faith as a bridge, the mirror of faith clearly reflected all the analysis results to his soul. After the soul received the information, he could make targeted improvements in his cultivation. Lin Moyu quickly understood where his weaknesses were, which parts of the laws were still lacking, and what he needed to further comprehend and master. Although his law mastery had reached 26%, that was just an overall mastery with differences in the details. To achieve a perfect advancement, he needed to perfect these details. Just like his physical body, which had reached the peak of the true God realm, but still had some hidden flaws. The flash star and flash fire were like a hammer, repeatedly tempering his physical body, removing impurities and leaving the essence. But the hammering wasn't complete, and some impurities remained in hidden corners. These would also be obstacles to a perfect advancement. Lin Moyu himself couldn't see these problems, but with the God-sovereign level mirror of faith, they became very clear. Lin Moyu immersed himself in his world, thinking about how to solve these problems. In the void 1,000 kilometers away, Xiao Shang opened his eyes again and looked towards Lin Moyu.
Mirror of faith? Looks like he wants a perfect advancement. A physical body at the peak of the true God realm, flawless laws. This young man indeed has the qualifications. Our human race has finally produced another top genius. Not bad.
Xiao Shang muttered to himself, his eyes filled with relief. At this moment, he looked like an old man in his twilight years, his eyes less sharp and more nostalgic. He watched for a while, then slowly turned his head to look in another direction. There, 3 figures were approaching at an astonishing speed. The 3 stopped in front of Xiao Shang and saluted him.
Greetings, senior.
Xiao Shang nodded.
What is it?
The 3 asked.
Senior, have you seen a young man at the true God realm?
Xiao Shang pointed in Lin Moyu's direction.
He's cultivating over there. Cultivating? In the 9th layer area?
The 3 were stunned and looked in the direction Xiao Shang pointed, seeing the giant mirrors. They exclaimed,
The mirror of faith, he's aiming for a perfect advancement to God King. What a grand goal, impressive. His power of faith is also very strong. He must be quite famous in the great world. He can actually cultivate here. Could his physical body have already reached the God King realm? Not just his physical body. His soul has also reached the 4th grade. A true God with a 4th grade soul and a God King level physical body. What kind of monster is this?
Seeing the shocked expressions of the 3, Xiao Shang coughed lightly.
If you have nothing else, you should leave. You can't stay here for long.
The pressure in the 9th layer area was too strong, and the 3 could only stay for a short time. If they stayed too long, they would also be crushed into meat paste. The 3 saluted Xiao Shang again.
As long as he's fine, we were just worried that such a good young man might be in danger. With Senior Xiao watching over him, he will be fine, so we don't need to worry.
Before leaving, one of them asked,
Senior, do you know his name?
Xiao Shang nodded.
His name is Lin Moyu.
The three remembered the name Lin Moyu, thinking that this name would shake the great world in the future, just like Xiao Shang once did. The three left, returning to the 8th layer area. After they left, Xiao Shang looked at Lin Moyu again.
Young man, good luck. Don't end up like me.
As he spoke, his expression suddenly twisted in pain. His muscles fluctuated continuously, his whole body trembling. He let out a low growl and punched himself in the head. This continued for several minutes before Xiao Shang gradually calmed down. But his face was pale, and his aura weakened significantly. Xiao Shang looked towards the Law Star and muttered to himself,
The attacks are becoming more frequent. It seems I can't avoid going.
1398 1398. Chapter 1398. Flawless, Body of a God Sovereign. In the desolate and silent starry sky, a long line of fire flashed by as the red fire returned to the 7th layer area.
Red fire, how was it? Did you find that kid? You came back alone, don't tell me he's dead? You were gone for quite a while, couldn't you find him?
Everyone asked with their mouths wide open. If Lin Moyu was dead, everyone present would feel it was a pity. In their eyes, Lin Moyu was truly a rare genius. Red Fire said in a deep voice,
He's not in the 8th layer.
Everyone was stunned.
Not in the 8th layer, did he lose his way? Or did he die halfway through, leaving no corpse behind? That shouldn't be the case, right?
After a pause, Red Fire continued,
He went to the 9th layer and is cultivating there.
Everyone was dumbfounded, their expressions full of disbelief. Not in the 8th layer, but in the 9th layer. Not cultivating in the 8th layer, but cultivating in the 9th layer. Everyone felt like they were listening to some myth or legend, finding it unbelievable. But they all knew clearly that Red Fire wouldn't lie.
Hard to imagine. What kind of genius is he? The 9th layer, a 4th grade soul, a physical body at the God's sovereign realm. What genius! He's a freak, a monster. With such a powerful physical body, even more powerful than his realm, could it be that he wants to walk the path of reaching divinity through the physical body? Don't joke around. Reaching divinity through the physical body is just a legend, an impossible path. It's a pity we didn't ask the kid's name. His fame must not be small.
Red Fire said.
The seniors in the 8th layer said his name is Lin Moyu.
Through the mirror of faith, Lin Moyu thoroughly understood all his problems. First, there were issues with his laws. Second, there were issues with his physical body. There were quite a few problems, but fortunately, they were all minor issues. His foundation was solid enough, and all these problems could be corrected. Next, with the help of the mirror of faith, Lin Moyu prepared to quickly correct his problems. His physical body became more perfect, and his comprehension of the laws deepened further. Although his law mastery remained at 26%, his ability to control the laws greatly improved. It was like before, when he needed 10 units of effort to lift something, now he only needed 9 units of effort to lift the same thing. Gradually, it would become 8 units of effort, 7 units of effort, or even less. When he used 10 units of effort again, he could exert far greater strength than before. This was Lin Moyu's current state. Without changing his law mastery, he controlled the laws better and better. Day by day, time passed, and Lin Moyu didn't know how long he had been in seclusion. During cultivation, time was meaningless. For some powerful beings, a single seclusion could last hundreds or even thousands of years, until one day, the laws began to seep into his soul, slowly merging with it. This represented that the law aspect of the God-King realm had been fully mastered, and he was entering the God-Sovereign realm. With the laws seeping in, his soul became stronger. The stronger soul, in turn, pushed forward his comprehension of the laws. Lin Moyu had corrected all the previous flaws in his laws and began to comprehend new laws. At this time, the power of faith began to take effect, helping him comprehend the new laws. This was one of the most fundamental functions of the power of faith, accelerating the comprehension of laws. The stronger the laws, the stronger the soul power. Lin Moyu's soul quality was high enough with no bottleneck at all. On the bank of this river, a small stream meandered up, connecting to the vast river of stars. This small stream was the river of laws controlled by Lin Moyu. To truly merge into the river of stars, there was still a long way to go. But now, the small stream was also surging with waves, and Lin Moyu's law mastery was rapidly increasing. 27%, 28%. As long as his law mastery reached 30%, Lin Moyu would become a god sovereign. At this moment, Lin Moyu opened his eyes and took out the low-grade demon stone. Low-grade demon stone, originating from the Starry Sky Demon God clan, the demon stone has the ability to enhance the physical body. The low-grade demon stone is for God King level physical bodies. Note: the demon stone contains violent energy. Please use with caution. Following the usage method of the low-grade demon stone, Lin Moyu spat out a mouthful of essence blood onto the stone. The originally dim demon stone instantly radiated immense power. The demon stone exploded, turning into countless particles that covered Lin Moyu's body. The particles contained astonishing energy, instantly reducing Lin Moyu's clothes to ashes. Then, the particles enveloped every corner and inch of Lin Moyu's skin, leaving no gaps. Intense pain came, and Lin Moyu let out a muffled groan. Rarely did any pain make him react like this. The power of the demon stone was too violent, as if trying to tear him apart into pieces. Not just his physical body, but even his soul was about to be torn apart. Even Lin Moyu, who was long accustomed to pain, couldn't help but groan. His soul consciousness wavered, almost unable to resist using damage transfer. The demon stone particles penetrated through every inch of his skin, passing through the membrane, entering the muscles, and even drilling into the bones. Seeking fresh flowers, Lin Moyu felt like he had been stung by countless needles, as if he had become a beehive. No, it was even more shattered than a beehive. Wherever the particles passed, the impurities hidden in his blood and bone marrow were burned away again. Amidst the pain, Lin Moyu felt a new force of life, brimming with vitality, sprouting from the depths of his body. Finally, the demon stone particles entered his internal organs, passing through the 5 viscera and 6 bowels, and ultimately all drilled into his heart. They even merged with the flame of fire, and in the midst of heart-wrenching pain, the flame of fire became stronger and more powerful, and his heartbeat became more intense. With each beat, a few particles were fused into the blood, then circulated throughout the body by the blood, reaching every corner and every capillary. The terrible pain continued, not yet over. Lin Moyu endured the pain, no longer thinking about it, shifting his attention to comprehending the laws. The river of stars surged with waves, resonating with his own river of laws. This resonance was transmitted to his soul, and his law mastery continued to rise. After an unknown period of time, his law mastery finally reached 30%. Huge waves rose in the river of stars, crashing towards his soul. The waves carried a rich, undying law, merging into his soul. This was the first intimate contact between his soul and the river of stars, and the feeling was incredibly wondrous. The laws were like a pair of extremely gentle hands, gently caressing his soul. With their caress, the undying law seeped into his soul, initially merging with it. The God-sovereign realm, the entire process of advancing was the process of the laws and the soul continuously merging, becoming more and more inseparable. As the realm advanced, the soul and the laws merged deeper, becoming indistinguishable. Eventually, the laws would completely merge into every corner of the soul, and every spell would contain powerful laws. If the law domain was fully unleashed, it could even envelop an entire star system. That level would be the realm of a minor god sovereign. When the soul advanced further, the law domain would no longer expand but instead retract fully into the soul. At that time, the soul would have the qualification to enter the river of stars, roaming the river of stars, with every move able to wield the power of the river of stars. That would be the realm of a god sovereign. At this moment, Lin Moyu completed his first intimate contact with the river of stars. His law mastery reached 30%, and he truly stepped into the God-sovereign realm. His soul began to grow stronger. Originally, his soul power had reached the limit, but now it could bear even more power. The talent tree swayed, transmitting a vast amount of soul power. At this moment, his physical body completed its final evolution. His heart beat at a rate exceeding 1,000 times per second, and his physical body erupted with a brilliant golden radiance, overflowing with dazzling light. 1399, 1399.